Hey guys, welcome to the Physio channel. I'm here with Pete Cohen, who is known as the People's Coach and is a human behaviour expert. And we're here in Dubai at the MeFit Summit, where Pete has been doing a selection of talks on human behaviour for the thousands of fitness professionals that have been in attendance over the last couple of days. And myself, I've been doing talks on physiotherapy related things such as back pain, knee pain and shoulder pain. So I wanted to grab Pete, and he's agreed to come and speak to me and speak to us. And I wanted to ask Pete, if you've got a rehab plan, if you need to do some exercises for your injuries, what are the 3 things that will help you stick to your plan, get your exercises done and recover faster? So Pete, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, first off, I want to thank you because you had a look at me today, because I got injured a year ago snapping my Achilles, and I worked very hard with my rehab, but I kind of stopped, when it got a little bit better, and I realised now, you know what, I really should have kept on going. So first off, thank you for the help that you gave me today. You're very, very good at what you do, and I've got to know a little bit about you, and I've seen people talking about you because, like you said, we've both been presenting at the same conference here. So thank you for the work that you do. Because there's nothing worse than getting injured, and I think we often need help because the human body is a wonderful thing, but like a car, if it goes wrong, you often need someone to help you make it work better. So just going back to answering your question, I think there's 3 things, well, we were going to say 3 things. One is this whole idea around when we get injured, what tends to happen is people are not in a good place, obviously, and they've got to do this work and they often don't feel like doing it, right? But if you really want to be healthier again and get over it, how you feel should have absolutely nothing to do with your rehab. And what people don't realise is that when we don't feel like doing something, there's a part of when we don't feel like doing something that we don't feel that we have to do, it's very easy to either not do it or just do it half-heartedly. So it might sound like a very obvious thing, but people have to learn to think greater than they feel. Because a lot of the time, you might not feel like doing the rehab work, but what has that got to do with it? You'll feel so much better once you've started, and you'll feel even better when you've done it.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Pete. That's great advice. We talked about that today in one of our sessions, that injuries and having an injury is an experience. It's not just a physical thing that affects a bone or a joint or a ligament. It's an experience that typically affects your emotions, and if you let those get in the way of actually doing what needs to be done, then that's the first barrier to getting started on the journey to recovery.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, because what happens is that a lot of people then, I've definitely been frightened that I'm going to do it again, right? And fear is definitely not a great, and that's why I was really pleased I spoke to you today, because I said, I'm frightened of doing the other one. Don't ever snap an Achilles, and if you have, do the rehab. But the second thing is the identification. So what I mean by that is often people that get injured and they identify with the injury, and then they identify with, I hope I don't have that forever, I hope it doesn't happen again. That is not what you need. You need to identify, which is like picturing yourself having overcome this. And almost like seeing that as a different person, and that is the person that you're going to work hard to become. That's what great athletes do. They see the person they need to be, they work hard in becoming that person. Otherwise, guess what? You might get over it, but you might get re-injured because you keep telling yourself the same story. Oh, I hope that doesn't happen again, or poor me.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't let the injury become your identity, effectively. And we see that so much, don't we, with ongoing back pain. We see that with obesity as well, for example.
I am overweight.
Yeah.
I am my injury. No, you are your recovery.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to talk about that now, how you can get past the injury and not let it become part of your identity. And Pete's going to share with us now his 3rd bit of advice, which will help us with a solution.
So what's really fascinating about human beings, human behaviour, is what drives us to do something. So what drives most people is pain. Something is difficult, something bad happens, a prognosis, a diagnosis, an injury, that then forces people to go, oh, this is terrible, I've got to do something about it. But what happens is, and I've been guilty of this, is I got better, a bit better, but I didn't get really good, and I started to slack. My challenge to you is, if you're doing your rehab, once you get to a place where things are better, then I'd be saying, well, now we start, and then we start again, because don't accept just being a little bit better. I would literally think to yourself, I want to be better than ever, because that's possible, right, with the body.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what do you think about that, just in terms of, what do you see? Do you see people doing that a lot, in terms of they get to a place and then they get a bit lackadaisical and they don't put the effort in?
Yes, they get to what we call the recovery phase, they recover, but they don't enter what we call the resilience phase, where they actually build upon their level so that they have a level of resilience and like a buffer zone, if you will, and some protection against future injury. Typically they stop because the pain has gone, but they don't build in that extra strength and that resilience to future problems. But we also meet people as well who have actually gone on to do better things, and the injury was like the precursor to doing that. It got them to really think about their health and their fitness, so that they did recover, but then it actually inspired them to go on and to achieve things which they perhaps might not have achieved had the injury not sparked that initial journey for them. So we certainly see that, but for a lot of people it's really, really important to go beyond the pain. When the pain has gone or much reduced, fantastic, but the rehab is about going beyond that, so you can offer some protection and a level of kind of bulletproofing your body, if you will, from future problems. You can never guarantee that you won't have future injuries, because it could just be something completely different, for example. But it stands to reason, it's very logical, that if you keep pushing and adding to your resilience, fitness, strength and conditioning, for example, that will give you protection against future problems, and it's a very, very logical thing to do.
Well, us being in this room, it is a little bit like Sherlock Holmes. I'm Dr. Watson, and you're Sherlock Holmes, and I watched you work today, and then you did some work on me as well, and you're definitely someone who is trying to find out, okay, what's going on there, how does that work? And you can give people so much, but ultimately we have to take some form of responsibility to actually doing the rehab work. And I think sometimes it could be such a great achievement to look back and think, look what I overcame, look what I did, and I'm more fired up than ever to get my Achilles to be better than ever. So
we went through some quick strategies, didn't we, that you can implement, which are effective but also realistic. They don't require too much time, and they're not too burdensome.
Well, that's the other thing that we talked about, time. People say we've got time. Is that, come on, we've all got time. It's just the fact that you probably don't like doing it. If you like doing something, you do it. Learn to like doing it. Learn to like not feeling like it, and then do it, and look how much better you feel. Because you know what? If you want something enough, then how you feel should have absolutely nothing to do with it. So, yeah, I'd love to know what happens as a result of people listening to this, and whether it inspires them with their injuries to...
Absolutely. So please put a comment below to let us know your thoughts, and to share perhaps some other advice for the listeners. And Pete is the author of 20 books, and you may have clocked that there's one on the desk here, and I've popped some information about Pete up on the screen during this video, so please have a look at Pete Cohen's website and social media. You'll find some other helpful information there, I guarantee that, because I've watched some of the videos myself. And Pete, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, thank you very much.
We'll see you in the next video.